everyone, you're watching Little Miss Swan and I'm your host Miranda. Today is going to be a little bit of a different type of video. I initially filmed this video like a week ago, but the audio was so bad that I couldn't even hear myself, so I'm hoping that this take is just a bit better. But anyway, today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the movie Coraline and also the franchise of Alice in Wonderland and why the I am so obsessed with it. I will say right off the bat, Coraline is one of my hands down favorite movies ever. Like, say what you want about like the legendary like DC and Marvel and all those type of movies, but Laika's breakout film Coraline, it doesn't, it's not on the same level, it's above that. I read the book when I was in year 7, so this was been around 2011, like 2 years after the movie actually came out. I read the book as part of a literature circle sort of thing that we had to do in class in English, and even though I could have picked a more challenging and longer book such as like Mao's Last Answer or something like that, Coraline, the blurb, it drew me in, and oh boy, I fell down the rabbit hole and look where we are now. Like, it's gotten to the point where every time I go to a con or something, I always have to get something that's Coraline related, whether it's artwork, as you've probably seen in my background before, or dolls or pop vinyls or anything like that. Like, I need to have it. I need to. And oh my gosh, I wish cons would come back. I hate lockdown and oh boy. So for those of you who don't know Coraline or the story, I'll break it down in just a little bit. Do please watch the movie or read the book for yourself because it is phenomenal. Coraline is a story about the classic trope of parental neglect to a child with a love of exploring and wittiness beyond all else and just the need to be loved. See, the family move into this apartment complex called the Pink Palace, where she discovers jumping mice, some weird old ladies with taxidermy dogs, a Russian gymnast, and also slightly more disturbing versions of her parents. Like, look at this shit. Oh my god. How does that not give you nightmares? Coraline, for her age, is very mature, and her love of exploring allows her to go into the other world through the little door in her house. As Neil Gaiman even said, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's a nightmare for adults but an adventure for children, reading and watching this story. And it's true. I remember watching the movie when it came out, like on DVD release, and oh my gosh, like I feel so old, like DVDs. But yes, this movie was frightening, but it still drew me in. So I would probably be 11 or 12 at this stage, but the idea of escapism like really fascinated me. And this is where we get serious. Coraline, being the age that she was in the film, was my age when I first watched the movie. See, I didn't see any of like the themes properly as a kid because obviously you're a kid and you don't have the same mentality as you would as an adult. With unfortunate life events, I felt drawn to the idea of escapism and fell down the rabbit hole a little bit, which is actually a really good segue to the whole Alice in Wonderland sort of thing. See, any rendition of Alice in Wonderland I've always adored. Like, it's always been centered around escapism and finding her way, whether it be psychologically or just finding her way home. But contrast to Coraline, she finds her way and eventually gets there. Alice has always been like burdened by something, whether that be like pressure from society, family matters, being terrified of the big wide world around her. And for a young girl, it's a lot. This is why Wonderland she escapes to, essentially. The best rendition that I think of Alice is the American McGee game, Alice Madness Returns, which is the sequel to just plain Alice. This game came out in like 2011. So yeah, around about the same time actually that Coraline kind of came into my life. I could do like a whole like rundown of every single Alice rendition and give my opinion on it, so just let me know if you're interested in that kind of content. But yes, I was scrolling on Facebook one day and there was this meme that came up and it was just like, oh, if your significant other loves Coraline or is like, that's their favorite movie, like get out, just run. And I found that like really funny just because like there is other people like me who are just drawn to that type of film. Because Alice and Coraline, they're just kids at the end of the day. Or again, depending on what rendition of Alice you're looking at. But yeah, they're just kids trying to navigate the world, but with the theme of escapism. Why am I drawn to this type of movie? Like, is it comfort? Is it relatability? What is it? I asked my sister who actually studies psychology and criminology, but she had to do a thesis paper on why people are so drawn to like watching true crime and stuff. Like, it's not really the same, But yeah, it's just an interesting take. So I'll read what she said. So for those who studied psychology, this probably makes a whole lot of sense. And for those who don't, basically, there are just neurotransmitters that draw people to a certain amount of interest and like. So bringing it back to why I am so drawn to Coraline and Alice, like this makes a whole lot of sense to me. There are other content creators out there who have actually compared both Alice and Coraline to be very, very similar. One channel that I did like that did it in more of like a comedic sense was Freshly Canal. I think that's how to pronounce it. As they bring like more of a lighthearted take in an animated like rap battle sort of thing. It's a bit strange, but I'll link it in the description because I found it just like really, really cool. I personally feel like I connected with the American McGee's Alice, like I spoke about before, just as she's a little older than the Disney 1950s cartoon, or even like the 1990s sort of one with Whoopi Goldberg and the actress from Veronica Mars, I can't remember her name. But yes, anyway, the madness aspect of it like really drew me in. And like the further you go into Wonderland, the more layers unravel. And she just slowly descends into madness, but then she gets to a point where it's like, oh, I actually understand stuff and know why I'm like this. So I'm going to put a stop to this and solve the problem at hand, which is what I've had to do in my recent years. But contrast that back to Coraline, and she uses the same tactics as Alice does, even though she's a child. She uses the other world as like her, I guess, Wonderland, as you, I guess, say. One thing that is kind of funny is that sometimes when I get sad, I just think of like the little song that either the other father writes, this one. Making up a song about Coraline. Or I think about the original father and how he sings like,
witchy, witchy girl, I think you are so nice. I give you bowls of porridge and I give you bowls of ice cream.
I don't know why it gives me such comfort, but it just makes me feel a little bit better. Once again, that connects to why I love the story so much. I guess the point that I'm trying to make for this video is that I hope that I'm not the only one that kind of feels that way as well. Like why we're so drawn to certain franchises or drawn to certain stories, especially Coraline and Alice. Like I'm sure, like surely I'm not the only one. So to wrap it up, mental health check of the week. This week is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so yes, drinking water, go to therapy if you need it, and yes, don't get in your head like Alice and Coraline do. Sometimes we all need to escape from things, especially in these like really hard times with lockdowns, especially in Melbourne and Sydney, but it's the small things in life that give you joy. So go for a walk, hydrate, as I said. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this type of content. I know it's a little bit different from doing like a movie review. Even though this is still kind of part of pop culture, I'm just bringing a little bit of a different take on it. So I guess with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Toodaloo.